is, with the UK now officially in recession, has the government failed to meet yet another pledge?
Well,
Rishi Sunak said he was going to grow the economy.
Well, absolutely, and that is the end. What we also knew...
But that's a broken promise, then,
do you want me to answer that?
Well, the question is, from Sana, has the government failed to meet yet another pledge? What's the answer to that?
The answer to that is that we made the top priority, as this audience knows, inflation. If you have, when a year ago, inflation was 11% a year ago. We said we would halve that. That was the first of the pledges.
But just to be clear, hang on.
It's not done anything. Inflation came down because for no reason that you were involved in. It went down because the supply shock went through the economy. That's how cost push inflation works. You didn't do anything, but even then, you didn't say, here are our 5 priorities, but these are in priority order. You said, we just have 5 priorities, the people's priorities. We have a pledge to hit these. If I don't hit them, Rishi Sunak said, you can judge me by my record. I will be personally responsible. Here we are in a recession. You failed. Grab your coat. Fuck off. Let's have an election.
In fairness to Sana, you're sitting so politely and nicely there. So I'm just going to try and get your question answered, if I may. Has the government failed to meet yet another pledge on growing the economy? Has it or hasn't it?
We want...
mate, they're literally laughing at you.
Every week.
Every week.
Change the goalpost.
They're literally laughing at you, mate. Just honestly, anyone with self-respect would just get up and leave. Like, you're cooked, you're roasted, you're done. No one in that room respects you. You're a fool.
And also, he doesn't respect himself, clearly, because he's allowed himself. Yeah, he's allowed himself to be out there to humiliate himself to protect Rishi Sunak's failures.
Yeah.
Like, the Tories just have this endless line of fall guys willing to make brats of themselves on TV to defend the mothership.
Yeah. To be fair, I think probably the Labour Party are somewhat similar because it's the ministerial jag, it's the title, it's the fucking wages and the pension you're going to get at the end of it. It's that feeling of power because they're born to rule, all this sort of stuff, and they don't care. There's no decency behind it at all. It's literally just careerist wankers.
Oh, so just say
I still don't know. So the answer is it has failed to meet this pledge.
It has not grown the economy in the last 2 years.
Okay.
So to that extent, it has failed the pledge. But what we were
told the
clear
truth.
about is we need.
Okay, he's getting sacked. He's definitely getting sacked. You can't tell the truth, mate. Fucking hell. That was the one thing you couldn't do.
Knew that by tackling inflation for the long-term interests of this country, not the short-term, that it would have an impact on growth, and so it has.
So why make the pledge?
It's come down to 4%. Because it's all about building the conditions for the long-term.
Okay, £28 billion a year on green investment. Why make the pledge? Like, you can just be turned around and you're both hucksters.
And that's why this Tome is so stupid, because any time the Tories do it, which they've done constantly, it's how they fail a pledge, which they're continually doing. There's the rod they've made for their own back. The Labour Party, instead of pushing that rod really hard into them, what they've done is go, oh, no, give me some rod too. I'm missing rods in my back. Please put a rod in my back that I'm no way of being able to extricate myself from, because we've continually proven our electoral party to be terrible at sticking to any position, both moral, ethical, policy or philosophical.
Plan to do that. Inflation is down to 4%. We want to go further. But look at it. Look at employment. Employment is remarkably strong. We have an unemployment rate around half that of France. We have, if you talk about growth, and Jürgen's former employer, of course, was German-owned, which of Germany or the UK has grown its economy most since 2010? Germany or the UK? It's the UK. Which one has grown its economy most since 2016, since the Brexit decision? Germany or the UK? Do you know the answer to that, Jürgen? It's the UK.
Look, I can give you another set of years where Germany has grown more than here. The whole point is both economies have had pretty low growth. But let me tell you something, in terms of earning potential, in terms of average wages, in terms of productivity.
Yeah, exactly. Line go up. As long as red line go up, who cares if people are literally using food banks? Nurses having to use food banks. Pilots having to use food banks.
Exactly. This is why this red line go up stuff is so dumb, because they will use these macroeconomic indicators that don't mean anything to real people as their singular yardstick. I'm not saying that they're useless metrics. They're fine metrics, but they're not the entire yardsticks of the health of the economy. Whereas German people have seen consistent wage increases for the last 14 years. We've seen wage stagnation for 14 years. That's why these are incomparable. And on top of that, if you want to just find another country that's had consistent wage growth, consistent economic growth, you look at America, you look at the United States, because they didn't do austerity like we did, and like the SDP and the CDU do over in Germany with their silly fiscal plans. Like, there's a reason why Germany and the UK are in recession is because our economic policies are made by idiots. Whereas in America, they just went, let's spend money on industry, let's build stuff, let's invest, let's do infrastructure spending, and suddenly, look at all this growth, look at all these higher wages that they're getting, and we're not getting that here. Like, they always use Germany because it's the only country in Western Europe that's actually in a recession as well. And so they have to keep using it. It's like the Albania thing with Rwanda. Or there's this tiny, singular, minuscule win that we had, so we're going to bang on about it like it's the most important thing in the world.
The amount of people working in manufacturing and industry, it's way larger in Germany. It also is in France and even countries like Spain. So it's those high-wage jobs that we need much more.
There's lots of hands up. I want to hear from lots of you. So, woman here in the front, in the green top.
You talk about the economy, and we are obviously feeling it incredibly much right now. Exactly. But the future of the nation is really on our young people. I'm the president of the Students' Union here in Lancaster, and I have students telling me they can't study because they haven't eaten in 3 days. And that is
They haven't eaten people are telling you they haven't eaten in 3 days.
Fiona, I have hundreds of stories.
Jesus Christ, again, it's the dentist all over again. The poors don't eat. Well, how do they survive?
Let them eat brioche.
Exactly.
We have a food bank on campus. Tonight we have supper club, which is where we give out free meals. We have at least 100,
honestly,
100...
it's Victorian. We've got a soup kitchen for the poor.
But Kevin, did you know if we elected Jeremy Corbyn, it would be like the Soviet Union and we all be going to the bread lines under Jeremy Corbyn? That's exactly what we would have, Kev. Didn't you remember? That's what they said they would have if we elected Jeremy Corbyn.
That's true. And also, I'm so glad that we didn't go with Jeremy Corbyn and that we went with the strong and stable Conservatives. That worked
true, absolutely.
Super well. The roaring 20s have been awesome.
180 students every Thursday who are desperate for potentially the only hot meal that they'll have that week. We have a food bank that we struggle to fund. We can only afford a certain amount of food portions on campus. And this is because students are caught in a crossfire. Universities don't have a funding model that works, which means that they are increasingly aggressively pursuing international students who don't necessarily have a level of English that's appropriate to be studying here, and they're led here under false pretenses.
But in terms of sticking to the economy...
Sorry, in terms of...
No, absolutely.
And students are the future of the economy. If we can't eat, we can't study. If we can't afford our rent, we can't live here. Okay. We need a working maintenance loan model that doesn't increase in line with inflation. The government does not...
Why are we financially punishing people who want to get educated?
I think, and to bring this back round to the economy as well, obviously this person touched on housing and paying rent and things like that. One of the reasons why we have such soporific growth in this country is because of the housing crisis. People don't have money to spend on commodities that create productivity in the economy because they're spending all their money on rent to landlords, and they don't take that money and spend it, the landlords don't. They take that extra liquidity and pour it back into the housing market so that the vicious cycle begins anew, and the prices of housing and therefore the rents continue to increase so that they can make money and increase their asset value hand over fist. Unless we break that model by a combination of building new housing, new high density housing to bring down rents, and by punishing landlords for existing through financial policy, of course, then we're never going to fix this issue and we'll continue to have soporific growth.
Yeah, exactly. Well, yeah, it's bad. It's an awful situation and an awful system. It's like it's...
Well, yeah, obviously the answer to that is clearly yes. Their pledge is in total tatters. And it's not just a technical recession. I mean, I'm sure...
28 billion. Honestly, you need to be visited by the ghost of 28 billion future, 28 billion past, and 28 billion present. It's the only way you might learn.
I mean, again, we could be here forever. We could be here forever. You say, oh well, they've missed their pledge on growing the economy. Where's your pledge on 28 billion? Where's your pledge on EU nationals voting? Where's your pledge on nationalisation? Where's your pledge on scrapping student fees? Where's your pledge for taxes on the wealthy? Where's your pledge for House of Lords reform? Where's your pledge for there having to be a Westminster vote when it comes to military action? Where are all of these pledges, Lucy? Where the fuck are they?
Fiscal rules.
Yeah.
I'm sure most people in this audience this evening didn't need to hear those GDP figures today to know the reality of our economy in our country, which is that we've seen the biggest fall in living standards ever on record. The biggest fall in living standards ever on record. That is some remarkable achievement of this government. And what does that mean? It means we've all got less money in our pockets, that wages haven't kept up with the prices going up. We've now been hit with interest rates and rents going up, so housing costs are a fortune. What else does that mean? It means businesses, like Jürgen said, businesses don't have enough money to spend and invest, and we're seeing high street shops closing, restaurants closing, businesses scaling back and not being able to pay their employees sufficiently. It also means that the government, because we've got this stagnant economy with this massive fall in living standards, the government doesn't have enough money to spend to invest in things like the NHS and our schools, which are the future of the growth in our economy. If people are on waiting lists, we've got 7 million people on waiting lists. If they're waiting for a hip replacement operation or for treatment or to get their cancer treated, they can't work. So a sick society is a sick economy as well. And that's why we do need to turn this around. And Graham can pick the one country, Germany, that is not performing as well as the UK. But
France,
we are
Italy, just to pick three others. Just in case you want some more facts.
No, that's not true at all. Because what this government like to do, which is what they're trying to do to the answer to the question, is change the goalposts. But we are growing less fast than all of the Eurozone, than the US. Living standards, so it's only the UK.
From what point?
If you look at the pre-pandemic living standards that were enjoyed around the world before the pandemic, it's only, of the G7 countries, it's only the UK that has not actually gone back to those living standards from pre-pandemic. The Eurozone is nearly 3% above those. America is over 6% above those pre-pandemic living standards. So when you look at the measures that really matter, which is what is our income and what is the income of our country, we are failing. And
no, that's not the metrics that matter. The metrics that matter is, do people have high standards of living? Do people go hungry? Do people die waiting for treatment at the hospital? All of these things, of course, is that the country is garbage and the economy is failing. But headline figures of whether the money is coming in or out is not the issue here. It's the metrics of actual living standards for real people who have to live in the country. I'm really frustrated that, again, Labour, of course, because they're beholden to a bunch of capitalists now, they all just have accepted this rhetoric. There's a really great video by Unlearning Economics. His very first video put up on his channel, this is called COVID-19 and Economic Narratives, talking about how GDP as a figure is basically a bunch of chop logic. It doesn't really mean a huge great deal. It's a fine overview so you know what the health of the economy is like, but using it as a singular yardstick to judge the performance of the economy is really stupid, because it doesn't tell you whether people are happy, whether people are well fed. It doesn't tell you any of those things, because again, we've got loads of growth from 2010 to 2022, I guess. Yeah. Not loads of growth, but plenty. There was growth throughout that time period. Did any of that growth go to people on low incomes? No. No, it didn't. The opposite happened.
It's not an issue.
It's not an issue.
It's not an issue.
The economy.
True.
Yeah, I'll repeat that. The Tories have failed the economy and they should be gone.
The biggest clap of the night.
They've had plan after plan, and it's been the same plan, more austerity. When we talk about the economy as politicians, what we're reflecting, or what we should be reflecting, but we often fail to do, is that people are facing a cost of living crisis. They're living through this every day with higher rents and mortgages. The higher mortgages, thanks to the mini-budget disaster from Liz Truss. We're seeing higher food prices, 26% higher food prices over the past 2 years, largely because of things like Brexit. And we have an absolutely incoherent financial plan here. The trouble is, it's actually matched by Labour. They're going to look to do exactly the same things.
Absolute
They're
nonsense,
an austerity agenda, wedded to Brexit as they are, failing to invest in green investment as is needed even taking that minimum step that they need to over the Green Investment Plan.
What's the SNP's record in Scotland in education, in health? What's your record in terms of managing money and the inquiries that are going on?
Let me answer that for you, Lucy. The attainment level in Scottish schools for primary schools is the highest that's ever been. For secondary pupils, it's gone up. That's the ACAS results. These things are trotted out to try and undermine it. Let's talk about...
You know that's not true. What about your
Where's the moderator? Is this a Dylan Burns panel? Have I walked into Hippy Dippy?
This is just internet blood sports.
Because the thing is that, again, that you can't really make that accusation for the SNP because they're not monetary sovereign. They don't have access to the central bank like Westminster do. And she has to deflect. She has to deflect because she knows that he's right. She knows that he's right about the fact that what their minimum investment plan of 28 billion was already, a fly in the ointment. And then immediately cutting it at the slightest whiff of difficult media or coverage or conservative rhetoric has kneecapped any chance of this country getting the actual investment it needs to A, turn the economy around, and B, decarbonise.
Burden and people's
Lucy, you just accused Graham of trying to sidestep the question, and you're trying to do the same here.
No,
we're talking about the economy here.
You're just accusing me of saying that I'll have the same policies, which I won't.
Let me tell you about what the Scottish Government are doing in Scotland to help people. We're not only doing things negating the bedroom tax, but we're also freezing the council tax, which is already lower in Scotland than it is across the rest of the... So we're taking actions where we have with limited powers to try to do things to help people. But what we'd really like to do is invest in the economy. We'd like to take that money and put it into the green economy, which is one of the few industries that
hang on, Drew,
have, and it's in
there
Scotland,
are things that the SNP can do. I mean, you have levers you can pull in.
We don't have control. We don't have the power.
But you have control over some taxation. You can choose what you prioritise to spend money on. For example, people can go to university. Hang on.
They don't have access to the grow economy button.
This is for us because you're not. The thing is, you're literally not wrong. They literally don't have access to that button. It's in fear because Fiona Bruce knows nothing about economics. I mean, the BBC did their own internal investigation into their own journalists on knowledge of economics, and she said, "Oh, there are certain levers that you can pull on the specific thing of engaging in expansion for investment." Scotland literally do not have the power because they don't have access to the central bank like Westminster do. It was 100% correct. If we're talking about green investment, which had to come from fiscal expansion because that's what it's there for. The fiscal expansion is there for you to be able to invest new money into increasing the supply side. Scotland cannot do that, and that is the key issue here. He's 100% correct.
You can choose some of your priorities.
We cannot make those macro decisions about the economy. The Scottish Government don't have substantial borrowing powers like any other government.
You're heavily subsidised by
actually,
the government in Westminster.
Well, this is troped out all the time, and
money's
of course,
handed over from every taxpayer in England to Scotland.
Let me pick that up at the moment. The 75% tax, the windfall tax that's going in to support the Tories' plans at the moment is coming from North Sea oil and gas. We're producing renewable electricity. All of that money. No, I've just said I want
bring in more imports.
Hang on, I'm just going to say we've got 4 minutes left, and we are a million miles from the original question, which you did answer at the beginning.
Which is your fault. You're supposed to chair the fucking discussion. You've just let them shout over each other like a bunch of kids.
Hey there, if you enjoyed the video, make sure that you like and leave a comment. That helps the video out in the algorithm. If you subscribe and ring the bell, it'll let you know when I go live. I stream every day on YouTube and Twitch. You can also follow all of my socials down in the description. And if you want to support me in a more financial manner, there's a join button for membership. It's just 99p to be a member on YouTube, as well as a Patreon, and there's some merch there as well. And hopefully I'll catch you on the next video. Take care.